Hello, my brothers and sisters. It's beautiful to be here with you. My name is Dolores Cahill. As you might know, I'm an immunologist and molecular biologist. What is going on is an attack on the human spirit. It's an attack on the human spirit, and it is not necessary. So we now in Stockholm are setting up a worldwide organization. We will decide the name tomorrow. We will have a law committee that will be able to help countries take cases to push back. And we have doctors and scientists that will help us provide the evidence for the policy making and hold governments to account.
This is about our basic rights right now. They're taking away the liberties and the basic rights that our ancestors have fought for. Is this okay? And it's up to each and every one of us to not follow orders that are against our fundamental rights. And this is what we're doing today. We're brave and we're standing up for freedom.
I went to Berlin with the World Doctors Alliance a few weeks ago. We had a fantastic inaugural conference, and it was wonderful to get a lot of people from lots of different countries that are all experiencing the same thing with these ridiculous coronavirus restrictions, with governments and the media working together to instill fear and control over the populations, which is completely unnecessary. So we're here again in Stockholm to meet and to discuss what we can do further to raise awareness, to resist the pernicious agenda that is going on, and to get people to realize that this COVID-19 is no worse than a bad flu season. We should not have our civil liberties trashed and taken away from us. We should not have our economies trashed and run into the ground. And we should not have people's mental health suffering for nothing. No good logical reason whatsoever.
Hello, my name is Monica. Some I know a lot, some a bit less. I'm so touched to see this amazing group of freedom fighters from all over the world, all over Europe. It started out as a discussion after the rallies in Berlin. We wanted a plan of action. We really need to take action now. We don't have much time.
There's no doubt that a lot of what's happening constitutes crimes against humanity. There's no doubt in my mind. I've looked up the definitions, and what I'm saying, in my opinion, a lot of what's happening constitutes crimes against humanity. It also constitutes, especially the masks, forcing children to wear masks at school, is child abuse. It should be stopped immediately. It's horrendous. So crimes against humanity, child abuse, which is promoted and promulgated by the state.
In Germany, they take children out of school and they just test them. So they come home and they are suddenly tested, you know, and then they put them in quarantine. And they also brought the law out that they can take the children out of the house if they are not properly isolated. It's treated differently in every country. If we create for every country something we can give the people, so when somebody knocks on my door and tells me I have to give my child away or I have to go now in quarantine, I can pull out that PDF and say, well, as of paragraph so-and-so, I'm not forced to do that.
I think in every country, we're talking about the people wearing muzzles as sheep. They're waiting for a leader. There isn't one. There are people manipulating in the background, and we know very well who a lot of those people are. We need to be the organisation, because I think we're probably the only organisation in the world that's capable of doing this, because we're the only one with the joint skills. We are leading the world into a global reset. There is going to be a global reset. Whether we like it or not, it is happening. It has happened. We're halfway through it. We need to be the people that shape the next stage. And I think that needs to be really clear in our heads. We have got to present a better world to people, because no one else is going to do that.
Well, there's so much sloppy language going around. You know, even in the Downing Street press briefings, they mix up coronavirus and COVID-19 and SARS-CoV-2. They mix up positive tests and cases and hospitalizations. They're all different things. And when you are deliberately vague with your language and you're mixing up these things and you're not specific, then you can generate a false narrative that gets the country into lockdown for no logical reason whatsoever. But there is a reason. You do have these people in the World Economic Forum and other places who want to go about instigating what they call the Great Reset. People said that back in March. They were called conspiracy theorists. 6 months on, they're being very open about it. They're not even trying to hide anymore that they want a Great Reset. They talk about transforming the world, reshaping the world, resetting the world, reimagining how we live. No one's voted for that. No one's been asked if they want that. So this is coming into view now. It's not about a virus. It's about a great reset. And I think everyone needs to wake up to what's going on here.
I mean, the three things I, say again and again that I think we need to do is to expose what is going on. That is very important because most people don't know, they're not informed, so they can't make the choices. And then when we unite, as we're doing today, we show that we are the 99%. We show that we are more people. We unite, that's our strength. And then we create the new without asking for permission. Yes. We are living alive beings. We're not asking anyone for permission. We need to remember that, and we need to create what we want the world to be.
I also want to say I'm absolutely honoured to be invited to be legal advisor for the World Doctors Alliance. I'm humbled to be invited to that position. Just to clarify that, yeah.
We see a lot of censorship now, which is the modern fashion of book burning, like we saw in the 1930s in Germany and in Soviet Union. There's no difference, and it's not a coincidence because the families and the structures behind the financing of the Soviet Union and the Nazi Germany are the same families that are owning and controlling the multinational corporations and the large banking system, the money creation. So it's not a coincidence that you have all these book burnings. However, I see an enormous pressure now. People know that they're going to take down the videos from YouTube. So now it's standard procedure. You see something that's valuable, you download it to your computer and you start re-uploading it.
This is quite chilling, actually, the censorship that is going on of anybody who doesn't agree with the COVID narrative. We don't get in the mainstream media hardly at all. Okay, I accept that. But you think you'll be able to put stuff on social media, on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitter, and so on, because they're big platforms, that they're supposed to be neutral platforms. But obviously, the reality is they're very, very far from that. I've never really been censored before. I've never had videos censored before and taken down. My speech at the Trafalgar Square Freedom Rally in London was taken down from YouTube, and I've seen a lot of the content coming from our Berlin conference was taken down. So obviously I think somebody is worried because we're telling the truth, and in times of universal deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act. George Orwell. That's what we're doing. People are afraid, but keep on listening to the truth.
We are meeting up 12 o'clock tomorrow in Stockholm We want to expose the truth of what is really going on, and we want to unite together, because together we are strong. And we want to create examples of best practice and good things that are happening around the world that can actually help a lot of people.
And now we say, stand up, Stockholm. Stå upp, Stockholm.
Stand up,
the world.
The law on epidemics in Denmark, I'm afraid, is the blueprint that they want to have in every single country in the world. And that is a law that is being proposed here in November, is basically in 2 words, because it's 287 pages, and I have a master's degree in law and I have read it, is that you have a category A, which is deadly disease, category B is a contagious disease, and category C is a new one, critical to the society disease. What is that? We've never heard about that before, have we? Oh yes, we actually have. If you roll back 85 years to the 1930s, then you had, if you criticized the government, you were sent to Siberia or a concentration camp or a gulag, because obviously the government was never wrong. So if you said the government was wrong, you were insane. What is it critical to the society? It is something that the Ministry of Health is deciding. So one man will decide it. It's like a dictator. And he will decide what is constitute a critical to the society disease. And it does not have to be based on medical point of view. It can be a totally political decision. So that is very scary. One guy, political decision, what constitutes a critical to society, for the lack of a better word, I beg your pardon. At the moment, it is the police that can forcibly vaccinate you. Now, it's not only the police, it's also the military and private corporations. And it gets worse. They don't have to be Danish citizens. This is, well, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm just saying legally they can do it.
The fact is that whilst we were asleep at the wheel, we allowed our governments to march into this bizarre Gestapo, this bizarre aberrant framework of tyranny that is facing all of us now. You know, 75 years ago, we had millions of men, 18-year-old boys, 19-year-old men, 20-year-old men, 23-year-old men, going out, fighting for king and country, for queen and country, fighting for liberties. These were brave, courageous young men. They were shitting themselves the night before they went to war. They were terrified, but they did it. And we now, today, us liberal intellectual men, we're too afraid to go on the street, to tear off a fucking mask off our face, excuse my language. This is the only time it is relevant to use bad language. We are being completely commandeered. We have allowed little gray men, bureaucrats and technocrats, to completely take over our human reason. We have got to step out of the indentureship, the enslavement, because it is not going to just remove itself. There is no rescue mission. There is no cavalry coming to rescue us. This is going to get a lot worse. They are planning this vaccination program. They do have an oxidative enzyme inside the vaccines, patented 666 by the Melinda and Bill Gates Foundation. This is real. It reads like science fiction or like a horror film, except it is true. This is the mark of the beast. This is absolutely what prophecy was all about. And the difference is going to be whether you and I can actualize our consciousness, step away from granting the permissions. Government is a bad dream. It is an unconscious, collective bad dream that manifests because of the collective unconsciousness taking place. We continually surrender our sovereignty, our conscience, our consciousness, and it becomes a thing that comes back and creates systems for us. And now we can see it's out of control. How many tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of people around the world have died from other matters connected to the forced lockdown, the self-isolationing, people dying from broken hearts? Do not kid yourself. That is the biggest cause of death, okay? Grandparents unable to look into the eyes of their children and their grandchildren when they're sick. That's going to get them into a grave very quickly. These are crimes against humanity that cannot even be calculated, okay? But when the audit is done, and it will be done, we will see that this Corona crowning event was the crowning glory of the emancipation of humanity and of people like yourself in your profession. What is taking place right now with Monica, Mikael, and Dolores, and putting together this rally in Sweden, in Scandinavia, today and tomorrow, is probably the most important event on the face of the earth, actually. It is time for humanity to reclaim ourselves from this draconian tyranny. I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sasha. Thank you very, very much.
Men det är ett litet budskap här. Klockan 12 varje lördag i varje stad i hela världen ska alla samlas för att kramas. För att protestera mot att vi behöver varandra och det är inte farligt att krama. Så nu ska vi ha en stor gruppkram här. Och fortsätt med det i er egen stad varje söndag klockan 12. Och efter att vi har vunnit. Okej? Ja! Stor kram! Gruppkram! Det är bra för endorfinerna. Kramar stärker endorfinsystemet. Det är ett bättre immunsystem. Kom igen nu då!
Ja, kom igen nu då!
Det är inte många som kramas där. Jag håller inget tal om en inte kramar. Då går jag hem.
I am very honored to introduce to you medical doctor from Germany, Heiko Schöning.
Attention, attention. The virus of truth reached Stockholm. Well, it's an honor for me to speak today to you, to the Scandinavians, and I'm as a North German, well, I feel my heart just like you. So thank you very much for this year. And I've got a good message for all the uninformed people. As a medical doctor, I can tell you, we do not have a medical pandemic. It's an illusion. If you're not an expert, if you're not a medical doctor, you have your heart, you have your common sense. And ask yourself, they want to give you a vaccination. Normally, a vaccination to develop this will take 5 to 10 years. And Mr. Bill Gates announced he wants to vaccinate 7 billion people, so everybody on this planet. And this should be developed within about 1 year. Where's your common sense? It takes 5 to 10 years. This is not safe. It's not normal. And you need to ask yourself, what is behind this? And you see, it's orchestrated all over the world. It's all over the same. And I can tell you, I'm German. And we were raised up with this question, why all these people in the 1930s do this? Because they were normal people and they had fear. Do you really have fear for a deadly virus? No, perhaps 10% of you. But 90% of you have fear for social distancing and have fear for state measures, all these repressive things that's going on. And we as citizens, we just say, no, we don't want this. And you know this, these masks are worth nothing. The virus is so small, it's like a fly goes through a football goal. Yes, it's like this. And the PCR tests are not valid. And you can't spread it out in a great number all over a community like this. And you have 50% false positive tests. It's just mathematics. And every test have its false positive. It's like a pregnancy test, yeah, for women. But when you gave this 1,000 men, yeah, male, you will have 10 positive pregnancy tests. And will they be pregnant? No! And when you do this for whole Sweden, for 10 million people, you will get thousands of them. Yeah? This is just playing with numbers. And it's so simple, the tricks. And you are good educated people here. The trick is just they tell you with the mass media and the government tell you, well, the infection rates are rising up. In fact, it's just the positive tests. But this says nothing, because to be infected with a flu-like virus, it means nothing. We don't see the sick people. So, I want to address to all my medical doctors, my colleagues, tell the truth. The hospitals are empty. We do not see any facts of a threat. No. Yeah? The media is the virus, not this. And thank you very much, Stockholm. Thank you very much, Scandinavians. We are together.
Thank you, Heiko Schörning. Just a note, we need some people at the back, please. Vi behöver lite folk här bakom också som bara står runt. We're gonna stand our ground now, whatever happens. Så vi behöver er att verkligen stå upp på riktigt. We need all of you to really stand up now.
Those who have given us life, many of them had a hard time, but they wanted to give us a better world, a world of freedom. Millions of people have given their lives for their families and for their future, to live in a free world. And this is our legacy. Do we imagine how our ancestors would feel if we were to tell them that we are ready to give it all up because we are scared of a little virus? Because we are scared of getting ill. You are the sons and daughters of brave Vikings.
In March, I had a video that was thrown 200,000 times when I said it's good to take vitamin D, 5 to 10,000 units per day, vitamin C, a few grams, and zinc. And I was then threatened they will take my license away for this. And it's the duty of government to tell this, because I've been right on every point. Take vitamin D, zinc and vitamin C. Vitamin D reduces the risk of dying in COVID much more than any vaccine will ever do, I promise you. And there is only side effects with better health.
Earlier on this year, when I saw the censorship on social media, on YouTube, and I thought to myself, well, that's wrong. Why are they censoring information that we're entitled to receive? Because under the European Charter for Human Rights, we have a right to not only give out information, but you also have a right to receive information. So when your government and mainstream media restrict that right, that's a breach of your fundamental human rights.
You are with us as freedom fighters, building the new world, a new health system, a new banking system, a better world, as Heiko Schörning would say. So please join with us. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye, Stockholm. Bye-bye, world. Thank you.
Den ska ställas på innan den åker därifrån.
No, the car is not registered to drive.
Oh my god!
I can drive it away from here because it's unregistered. We have to lift it.
Men det går väl att göra ganska fort.
If you're an idiot, you see the fabric. If you're looking for the truth, you see truth.
There you go. That's fantastic.
And it stops all viruses.
Yes.
So it's very efficient.
Thank you so much for doing it at short notice. So you have like 15, 20 minutes. You can say whatever you want. And would we like to ask you some questions? Yes. Is that okay?
I'm Monica, by the way. I'm
Monica. And maybe we should say we're trying to unite the world in a worldwide alliance, and we're going to have an announcement tomorrow. And Dr. Heiko Schöning is here, and we have lawyers, doctors, scientists, and innovators, and bankers, and people with political parties. So we're going to call it some worldwide alliance to push back Judy, and you're one of our heroes. You've been at this for so long. So thank you very much. 3 cheers for Judy.
Thank you so much, everyone. I'm just delighted to be here. Thank you, Professor Cahill and Monica. Boy, it looks like a great party you're having there. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Ventura, California. And really today's message hasn't changed from what we've been saying since the beginning of this pandemic. This is clearly a pandemic with no virus isolated from human people, from human beings with disease. The CDC admitted all the way back in July that the sequences they were using on the PCR test were actually a synthetic virus, that they didn't have a complete sequence of a disease causing SARS-CoV-2 from a human being. They have it from the monkey cells, as we all know, and those are the pictures you see. So the sequences containing HIV envelope sequences, along with the other coronavirus sequences, have never been isolated from a human being with disease and shown to be infectious and transmissible. This is what I've done for 40 years since HTLV1. You isolate the virus from a person with the disease. You semi-purify it away from everything else. You crack open the nucleus, get that blueprint, the RNA, the genome. You sequence the entire thing free of any other cellular debris. You show a budding particle out of the cell, not viruses floating through the air or broken exosomes, as my colleague and friend Dr. Andy Kaufman and Dr. Bruce Lipton have shown over the last year and over decades of their work. This is not viruses causing diseases.
Dr. Mikovits, it's an absolute honor to be in your presence, even though it's virtual. You're a true hero, and God bless you in what you're doing.
Thank you very much, Judy. Thank you. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much. Thank you. You're our hero. My Charlie.
Yes, you know what? We won today. Yes. We won. Everyone got to speak. No one got arrested, even though I was close. I had to run. I think we made a big statement today. This is going to go out not only to Stockholm, but to the whole world. And tomorrow we'll make the big announcement about the organization that we are forming. So I feel that this is a turning point for all of us. This is so, so big. Yes. So thank you, every one of you, for being a part of this. I'm so, so happy to meet all of you. I'm really, really touched. I'm so happy. And this is history being written right now. Yeah. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And can we all give a massive, massive, massive round of applause to Monica for organising everything. Everyone. Surprise. Oh, well done, Laura. You did amazing.
Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
In this country, alas, as across much of Europe, the virus is spreading even faster than the reasonable worst-case scenario of our scientific advisors. And so now is the time to take action, because there is no alternative. And from Thursday until the start of December, you must stay at home. You may only leave home for specific reasons, including for education, for work, let's say if you cannot work from home, for exercise and recreation outdoors with your household or on your own with one person from another household. I'm afraid non-essential shops, leisure and entertainment venues will all be closed. Pubs, bars, restaurants must close except for takeaway and delivery services. Christmas is going to be different this year, perhaps very different, but it's my sincere hope and belief that by taking tough action now, we can allow families across the country to be together.
Good morning, everyone. So what we want to do today is to have a statement, and we have a press conference at 1 o'clock. So I had a couple of ideas, but what we don't want to do is to declare we're going to do, 6 things, and then in 6 months' time, they're not done, because all of us have jobs and families and are organizing in our own countries. So one of the examples I thought might be is that we could say, how you get division in countries is that you try and instill fear and hatred between different groups, and that's obviously how socialism, Marxism works.
But I was thinking if we could say for people in each country to rank the journalists and the articles or the media clips where they actually was, say, on the BBC or on RTE, said something that was entirely untrue. So you could imagine in Ireland you'd have 50 journalists, and you could have the one that's ranked, the one that has caused the most fear and has said on a particular day there was 50 deaths in Ireland, but actually there was 0 deaths in the whole month, right? So we could actually rank civil servants, politicians, journalists, presidents, and then potentially say fear and lies are what's perpetuating this. If there were legal cases in individual countries, and if it's done in a coordinated way, that this could be the basis of crimes against humanity, right? So then it means that we would look at whatever the evidence that people would submit to the database to actually identify in countries, if people do want to take legal cases in their own countries, or we want to do it, that everybody in the world is providing us evidence, and then we could have a COVID lie scale or whatever, you know, and rank them, okay? You know what I mean? So that means, right?
It's a good idea.
Yeah. So, and then the other idea I had, but this is just a suggestion, is to say that we as a worldwide group can say, if they're putting billions into making a vaccine against the causative agent of COVID-19, somebody somewhere must have isolated whatever it is, because for quality assurance, it has to exist. So we're just going to say the vaccine manufacturers potentially, or the governments that have isolated the causative agent, and to just present it to us. We're like an oversight umbrella body shining a light on the media, you know? So they were my 2 ideas.
Great, great.
I want to announce the result of our votes. The name was very, very clear, that it should be World Freedom Alliance.
Wow.
World Freedom Alliance, that's us.
So the groups are the legal, doctors, organization, psychology, media, political economics, and education. Is that okay for now? We have half an hour.
Okay, the group leaders, please stand up. So me for medical,
And then
it is. So
oh yeah, I'm
1, 2,
organization.
3, 4, 5, 6. We saw crimes before, like the Vietnam War. Why is this? Because they rely on simple messages and repeat. They did like, Guinness is good for you, Guinness is good for you, Guinness is good for you.
Which it is.
Okay, so you see, badly example it works.
Short term, we're looking at the masks, and this is something that will translate into every country across Europe and across the world. Notices of liability to schools, to principals, to CEOs of companies, to doctors, to put them on notice. There's a principle in law that you cannot be held to account for something that happened in the past. But if you put a person, a school principal, a doctor, or a CEO of a company, who all have a duty of care in their respective spheres, you put those people on notice, and something happens after that, they can be held personally responsible. It will give parents, empower people with knowledge, and put the pressure on the public sector rather than the politicians who can just turn a deaf ear and a blind eye to what you say.
Welcome everyone. My name is Professor Dolores Cahill, and it is my great honour to inform you that we have founded the World Freedom Alliance, and this aims and will be a worldwide organisation linking groups in all continents of the world and in individual countries, and we want to unite under the charter of the importance of our freedoms, freedom of speech, for example, freedom of assembly, freedom of bodily integrity, and we are uniting groups across health and law and education so that we can empower you to understand what is going on, to try and solve it so that it never happens again, and to be involved in building the better world that we all want to live in. This is the end of the beginning, yeah? And then this is the beginning of the wonderful world that we all expected we were going to live in, right? Welcome everyone to Stockholm. My name is Professor Dolores Cahill from Ireland, and it is my great honor and privilege to welcome you to a worldwide organization which we have the name for, and it is the World Freedom Alliance. And we are building a worldwide linkage and network of groups and organizations in every continent in the world. And our goal is to provide information for what has been happening, to try and coordinate that we can defend our freedoms and our rights, and that we can ensure that the governments that we elect will actually defend our freedoms and rights. So we want to educate you, we want to empower you, we want to welcome you to a world where you can be healthy, you can be free, and you can hold people to account if they do something wrong.
Everyone is important in this. Every single person has knowledge and experience and their own story that we want to listen to, that we want to bring together and bring out.
I'm really honored to be working with such an amazing team of people to bring freedom and truth to the world.
Many people have been hoodwinked into believing that the government give us our rights. That could not be further from the truth. Every constitution in the world is a code of conduct for governments to follow, to ensure and protect and defend and vindicate and uphold your rights, our rights, that have been given to us by our Creator. The government doesn't give us our rights. The government is obliged to protect those rights.
My aim is to encourage all of you watching this video, sitting here today, to help promote political parties that will sign up to the World Freedom Alliance Charter. Bodily integrity, my body, my right. And the second one is a banking reform. If I may quote a private individual from 150 years ago, he said, "I don't care who governs the country as long as I create the money." We have to ensure a banking reform in every single country in the world. We need to do what John F. Kennedy did, what Abraham Lincoln did, create money on behalf of the people. You cannot have freedom when you allow private corporations to decide the monetary base and then that way create booms and busts as they please. Thank you.
We can see how all the press is controlled from one side and there's censorship. And we have thousands of doctors and professors behind us, and I dare to say no one knows more about COVID-19 than we. And on the contrary to our opponents, we are risking our livelihoods and careers by saying this. And the other ones, they lie and we tell the truth. That's the difference, and you decide which one you trust.
We are a very peaceful organization consisting of journalists, medical professionals, scientists, intellectuals, and I'm really grateful for all of you who have traveled across from different parts of the world, and we have got multinational community here with multicultural and multi-religion, and we trust on the humanity. And I would like to end on the Confucius who said, our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. With that, I wish you all very best of luck for everything.
Maybe just before we finish off, I'd just like to say thank you, everyone, and thank you for all of the people who have elected to be on the board of the World Freedom Alliance. That we are standing here for freedom and truth and love and hope by developing legal strategies, and we might use one strategy in North America and another strategy in Europe and another strategy in Australia. But the World Freedom Alliance is that we can then ask the world, if we need you as a person who's been impacted by this, or if you're a doctor and you would like to give us evidence, or if you're a pharmacist and you know about, things, there was prescriptions of medications, that we will coordinate, that you can be expert witnesses, and we will have the best lawyers in the world defending individual actions, whether it's in Ireland or in Canada or Australia. So our main aim is to defend our freedom and yours, to build government policies on the truth, but also to actually empower people to build the wonderful world that we want. So whether it is by, in a free market, identifying different banking systems, or to actually identify which media organizations have exposed the truth, which media organizations have not exposed the truth. So if you're listening to this by Copenhagen, our aim is to have a strategy to ask people to send us information. For example, if there was an article from a journal or a newspaper, which actually they should have known it was untrue, that we actually want to use this untruth information to hold individual journalists to account, to also potentially hold individual medical journals to account, to hold individual presidents of countries to account, or to hold individual advisors to the government to account. And what we want to do is to learn from what has happened so that it won't happen again. So if you're listening to this, you can take action. We will be asking you to do things in our meeting in Copenhagen, the 21st of November 2020. Thank you very much.
And I'm very, very proud and honored that today I was elected treasurer of the newly inaugurated World Freedom Alliance. The tide is turning, and I'm so deeply honored and grateful to be in this fight for the right reasons and meeting so many wonderful people. I'm so proud to be fighting next to them. I just want to say that I've had a long life. I've had such a good time. I've been able to be so privileged and work with something I loved, which was numbers. I love to trade. I've been able to spend a lot of time with my kids when they were small. I'm 55, and I'm ready to meet my maker anytime. But I want my kids to also be able to express themselves and enjoy freedom to choose the life they want. And that is something that is worth fighting for, I believe. And that is not only me and my kids, it's for everybody. It's for everybody.